That's what a trading system should be. It should be keeping you out of the market.
Yet, exactly. Yet, what is human nature?
I want to
Human
get
nature.
in and not miss out.
I want to be a participant. I want to get in. I want to, you could apply this to poker. You could apply this to buying businesses. You're in the business of buying businesses, so let's buy businesses. Right? Let's get in there. Let's buy a site. Whereas the people who are in it, and funnily are perceived as the greatest risk takers, which is really stupid because the people the Bransons of the world who are perceived as these great risk takers, read their biographies. They're not risk takers at all. They're actually very conservative. Ted Turner from CNN, they actually try to mitigate all their risk in something. Branson now has got it to such a level that all he does is lend his name for 50% of a product. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He has no risk whatsoever. If it doesn't work, I suppose if he attached his name to a whole bunch of things that didn't work, his brand and his name worth would go down over time. But
did you see his new latest adventure? They brought out the prototype images of the submarine.
Yeah.
How good is he?
The Mecha Nympho or something, I think it was called, in typical cheeky Branson fashion.
Yeah.
But, all these people have a fundamental in common, and that is they have systems for no. They have systems which they absolutely follow, and they don't call them systems. They call them all sorts of things. Somebody might call them a process. Somebody might call them a system. Some might call them a gut feel. I don't care what they call them. They're all the same thing. They're about keeping you out of something so you don't spend that precious energy on something that's never going to get you any sort of result.
I think you offered some really helpful advice there as far as some of the mistakes that people make. You mentioned the idea of not researching. You mentioned also on the flip side the yin and the yang, which is not taking action as well.
Yeah.
And the ability to say no. Do you see any other ones? Because I know you work with a lot of new people when they're starting out, especially through the 30-day challenge. What are one or two of the biggest mistakes that you just think that is what is holding you back?
Okay, and we mentioned a couple. Analysis paralysis, as they say, talk about cliches, where people get caught up in analysing something and they get into this loop, which is a negative loop, and they never actually get something out and test it. In the 30-day challenge, we run up this product a lot. Now, here's the thing. We've just been talking about how all these systems are designed to keep you out of the market, so to speak. But in the 30-day challenge, what we do, we want you to get in the market, but we want you to get in the market smart with no risk. See, I think this is the other element. What you want to do is you want to have systems, and I suppose the analogy in trading, Dave, would be obviously once you've created that system to give it some real world tests, but you do it with limits in place. Now, I'm no trader, but with limits in place, and this is again
your initial stops and your trailing stops. That's
exactly.
Right, it applies.
You have all your systems in place, so you know that if this all goes pear-shaped, you know what your ultimate downside is. And anybody who goes into something knows these things. Trouble is, tragically, most people, when they go into something, they don't know what the downside is. They haven't put in these limits. They haven't put in these stops. To apply that in 30-day challenge language, what do? We say, use a free account here at WordPress Direct. And in 15 minutes, we'll show you how to do it, and it'll take you a little bit of time the first time you do it because it's all new and it's all tricky for you. But it won't cost you a cent. Create a blog. Spend $8, and please only spend $8 on a domain name. And rather than guess a domain name, here, let's use our Market Samurai research. And
it's free trial?
And it's free trial, exactly. Thank you, Dave. A free trial, so you haven't even had to pay for Market Samurai to do a test. Let's throw those up. Let's put them in. Let's use Traffic Bug and its free trial to get the thing indexed. And now let's roll our sleeves up and do some effort, and let's create some content, and let's create some links and some bank links to get things cracking. And let's see what happens. So what have people risked? They've risked time and $8 for a domain name. But that's it. And, of course, we even mitigate against that because down the track we say, hey, if it didn't work out, here's how to sell the site on Flippa. And, 30-day challenge created websites are typically selling for $75 to $100. So they're even making a little bit of money on the $8 for the domain name.
Better than a poke in the eye, that's for sure.
Better than a poke in the eye. So, and that's what we talk about. We talk about that risk mitigation. I have a belief system, which is that there is no excuse to go into any business with any risk, except time. And that's pretty controversial because people consider businesses to be inherently risky. They're only risky if you don't do the research. And the best thing, and why am I doing online businesses and not doing it in the old days like a suit business or a coffee shop or whatever it happens to be? The reason is that you can find out so much before you have to spend a single cent, you know, and that's the key thing. Trading systems are interesting too, in the sense that you can do so much.
You can back test a lot before you put any money in.
But I think what's interesting, and here's where the analogy comes real, again, fundamentals of fundamentals. In trading systems, right, the true test at the end of the day, though, is when you actually test it with real money. Because, and the analogy, again, to take another market, in sports betting, like in sports, whenever there's a paper competition, like when it's like a paper trading system,
yeah,
and it's paper betting, like on the English Football League or something like that, I dominate. Seriously, I am brilliant at it.
The moment your money goes in, though.
Exactly. The moment I actually put real money on something, I go to water.
And that's why you make a plan.
It's exactly right. I don't have the constitution for it. Okay, but at least I recognise that. But here's the thing. What I do realise is for any system to be truly tested, you have to test it in the heat of the marketplace. And that goes for any business. Any trading system, any website, any gambling system, you have to test it in the fire of the marketplace. I'm all about toe tipping. Like, classic example, a client of mine the other day, he did this really, really clever guy. He did this really, really good deal with getting banner advertising on a site in his particular niche. And by the way, just as an aside, you're talking about hot traffic trends, and it's hilarious because it's like going back to old school.
Yeah.
Banner advertising, really targeted in niche markets on websites, is really doing really well. But it's a game where you have to play with money.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something you can go in and get free traffic. You know, you have to have a bank, as both you and I say in our respective businesses.
It's
right?
funny.
So,
yeah, go for it.
So I was just going to say, so what did he say to me? Here's this deal. I'll pay X thousands of dollars over the course of the year. You know, they get this many impressions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It looked like a great deal. Plus, it was like a PR7 site, and he would get a link back to his site. So it was a great deal all round. But I just said to him, you know what? This, on paper, looks like a good deal. Why don't we write to them and say, look, this looks like a great deal. We're very keen to do it, but we always trial our advertising. So can we do a deal? Look, we'll sign up for 12 months. But we have a 1 month option. We do a 1 month trial. And as long as we hit this X, Y, and Z target, which you're saying, by the way, that we should get, then we're in. And if not, we've got a chance to, you keep the money we've spent, obviously, this month, but we'll part as friends. It just didn't work out for our particular market.
It's smart business.
Smart. Just being smart about something and just having that little extra element of thinking about risk mitigation before, and risk mitigation is a horrible, $20 word, covering your bases, call it what you will. But just asking yourself the question of, okay, what can go wrong here and how can I protect against that? Ultimately, isn't that how you design a trading system?
That's exactly what you do.
What can go wrong and how do I protect against that while retaining enough upside to make it worth my while?